Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Monday, March the 10th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with you, ready to break down this Monday NHL slate. 4 games on tap tonight. Twitter X is on the fritz. I'm sure a lot of you have noticed that. DMs are in and out. Checking your timeline comes and goes. Sometimes you can do it. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can post something on Twitter. Sometimes you can't. It's been like this pretty much all morning and all afternoon so far. So we cannot, apparently we're not able to stream this show to the Twitter accounts right now. The Ice Guys account or my own. So that's unfortunate, but we are still live on YouTube right now and Facebook. So good stuff there with that. And hopefully you'll still find us. You guys know where we are. We're here Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. So we can get shit done without Twitter X. This is a reminder for people. Twitter, we rely too much on Twitter X.
Yeah.
You know, that's a day like this. Take a deep breath, everybody. Okay, there's an outage on Twitter for a few hours. Life will be okay. Life moves on. Life goes on, brah. So it's going to be all right. Everything's going to be fine. No question. But like I said, by the way, there's been more outages with Twitter X since Elon's taken over, than 10 times more than before, by the way. So let's get on the case here. Put the Doge stuff aside for one moment and get Twitter back up and running properly. That's another story. All right, let's get into the Sunday NHL slate. Obviously, we've got a lot on tap here. Yesterday, it was a very entertaining NHL slate. It began, actually, wasn't very entertaining in the afternoon. Those 2 games early were pathetic, both of them. So I'm not going to say too much about them. New Jersey and Philadelphia. Devils get a win 3-1. It's exactly why I didn't fade the Devils yesterday, because I didn't trust Philadelphia. And the Devils, though, get a 3-1 win. When you look at their schedule coming up, that's the game they had to win yesterday, because it gets tougher again in the next few games for the New Jersey Devils. We credit to them. Markstrom was solid. They took advantage of a team that's kind of struggled to score the last couple of games, and a 3-1 win for, like I said, the New Jersey Devils yesterday. And then that next game was just a complete snore fest. Again, Minnesota on national TV has been the cure for insomnia the last 2 weeks on these Sundays. Between the Boston game last week, 1-0 shutout win for the Wild, and then they end up losing and get blanked by the lowly Pittsburgh Penguins. The fact you on home ice can't score a damn goal at home against the Pittsburgh Penguins is just pathetic for the Minnesota Wild. And I know Tristan Jarry played in that game. He had a little point to prove, obviously. It's a guy that has been pretty much banished from the NHL, at least early in the year. Struggles, had to go down to the American Hockey League, was placed on waivers. Nobody claimed him, went down to the AHL, called back up here late in the season. Actually, it wasn't a shutout. Minnesota did get a goal, 3-1 is the final score. Not a shutout, I apologize. But still, 1 goal at home against the Pittsburgh Penguins is not what you want to see, and a loss at home to the Penguins. But Jarry was solid, don't get me wrong, but it's more of a bad look, in my opinion, on the Minnesota Wild there, losing that game yesterday by a score of 3-1. We saw Washington 4-2 against Seattle. We split the over by Fekta in that game, and great thrills at the end for those of you who were on Alex Ovechkin last goal at plus 750. What a tremendous ending that was, as he gets the empty netter. We cash our plus 750. We were worried because Bilesma pulled Joey Decord again when they were down 4-2, but we didn't get an empty net goal after that, and a nice win there for Washington, 4-2 over Seattle. Seattle remains winless on a back-to-back this year. That's right. Seattle has not won a single game on a back-to-back this year, and they lose to the Washington Capitals. The Carolina Hurricanes, I'm kind of glad I talked myself out of Winnipeg, because I said, these teams, we kind of left them for dead. Look at Boston and what they did against Tampa Bay on Saturday. Carolina's heard about, you couldn't keep Mikko Rantanen. He didn't want to be there. No one wants to play for Carolina. This team now has fallen behind everybody in the race in the Eastern Conference. Everybody's passed them. Toronto's better than them. Florida's better than them. Tampa, they've probably heard it all the last few days. And they played a really good game, almost like an FU to everybody and that narrative for at least one day. But that's a good win for them. That is a 3-1 win against one of the better teams in the NHL. And Logan Stankoven, this is the thing I'd be excited about if I'm a Hurricanes fan. He's going to be in a featured role. He's going to be in a top line role. He had to share the spotlight with so many of those great forwards on Dallas because they're so loaded. He's going to maybe be a starring role with Carolina, and he gets his first goal with the Hurricanes in his very first game with them. I'm definitely interested in Stankoven props moving forward with Carolina. He looked comfortable right away. He looked more comfortable in one game with the Carolina Hurricanes than Mikko Rantanen did at any point with Carolina. And of course, that's not on Mikko. That's just on team fit. It was not a great team fit for him. Obviously, Mikko, and we'll get to that with Dallas, has had a nice, terrific start with them. But it's a really nice fit. At least it looks like that after one game for Logan Stankoven with the Carolina Hurricanes, and a big ice time bump. So what that means, Rich, with Stank is shots on goal overs are going to have value because he's playing more. Means more opportunity to shoot the puck. Means he's going to be on the power play one unit. There's going to be opportunities for power play points, assist props, goal props, point props, you name it. Everything prop related to Logan Stankoven, there's going to be value. And how about Mark Jankowski, guy they got an afterthought move from the Nashville Predators, my fellow from Dundas, right here, just outside of Hamilton. It's like my fellow Dundas, Ontario man. Great to see that. What a day for him for the Carolina Hurricanes. Yeah, he's no Mark Jankowski. I mean, my goodness. Great game for him and a nice 4-2 win. He got both of the Carolina first two goals in that game, did the man from Dundas, Mark Jankowski. So great to see that, and a 4-2 win for the Carolina Hurricanes there over the Winnipeg Jets. And then we shift to the night session, and the New York Rangers decided, yep, I'm not going to play defense tonight, apparently. Hideous, defensive coverage. And I feel bad for Jonathan Quick. Was it one of his better games? No. Jonathan Quick was hung out to dry by this team. Totally hung out to, it was pathetic to watch this team defend. Soft, not hard on the puck, not physical, turnovers galore, and just loss of coverage. Just embarrassing defensive play from the New York Rangers. If not for the Columbus falling asleep for a couple of minutes there when they had that power play, when they were up 3-1, where the Rangers scored not one but two shorthanded goals on the same Columbus power play. If not for those 2 minutes, that's a 7-1 hockey game. And that's how bad it is for the Rangers. You scored two shorthanded goals on the same power play, and you still lost 7-3 last night to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Awful. Adam Fantilli loves himself some MSG. He's played there. A couple times, and he's had great games. A hat trick for him. He was great. Werenski, a multi-point game. Kent Johnson gets on the board. The guy that got extended, Matthew Olivier, is showing he's not just some cement head that can throw his punches. He's a solid hockey player. 1 goal, 1 assist. What a season he's had for the Columbus Blue Jackets. So very impressive win, a beatdown in New York, 7-3 for the Columbus Blue Jackets. That was the highlight of the day for me. Swept the board there. Columbus money line, first period over, full game over. That was a great result there, Jackets and the Rangers in that one. LA Vegas, easy as it gets with the over 5.5. Best bet for the show yesterday. Kings Golden Knights over 5.5. Just a series history play, Alex. We've talked about that on this show. Sometimes you just got to ride the series history when it says lots of overs between two certain teams. And that's what it's been with the Kings and the Golden Knights. 11 goals. LA nearly blows it in that game as they were up 6-3. Vegas cuts it to 6-5, but the Kings do hold on. Not a vintage day from either goalie. Probably the worst game Aiden Hill's played in a while. David Riddick, not what Darcy Kemper is either. Kind of a sloppy game, though. It's not like the goalies were totally at fault. It's just one of those games where it was a bit sloppy both ways. But the Kings do get a rare road win. Not pretty, but they get one, 6-5. And Justin Danforth, you're right. That was a great call by Jonathan, plus 750. He's been stepping up a little bit lately for the Jackets. He scored as well for Columbus in that game. And then the other games we saw last night, just the last two. I'm not going to talk much about the Kings and the Islanders. Not much other than Patrick Waugh pulled the goalie with 12 minutes to go, down 3-1. And, of course, they scored the empty net goal right away. And it was a 4-1 win for the Anaheim Ducks there. And Islanders on a back-to-back. They beat lowly San Jose, who was in a brutal spot. I didn't put much stock into that win, and sure enough, the Islanders turn around. They lose 4-1 to Anaheim last night. And a very solid workmanlike win for the Dallas Stars last night after losing to Edmonton on Saturday. where they battled back, got it to 5-4, but couldn't tie it. Nice workmanlike effort last night. Good road win. Tough spot, too. They had to travel, and you had the fact that the clocks were moved forward, daylight savings time. You lose an hour of sleep, and you had to travel late from Edmonton to Vancouver, get in late, play on a back-to-back in Vancouver, and to get that win's very impressive for Dallas. Without Rope Hintz, by the way, who didn't play last night. 4-1 over the Vancouver Canucks. That was a great result. We had the over by Fecta, but I had more on the Dallas team total, over 3.5, and we got the winner there with them, 4-1. We got Thomas Harley scoring a goal. I had a piece of his goal prop in that game, which was good to see. He continues to pile up the points. Rantanen gets his second goal with Dallas as he scored the empty netter. Dallas now, Jonathan says, 7-2 on the second night of a back-to-back game. So a very good back-to-back team off the loss. Even with the scheduling concerns, I thought it was a good spot for Dallas. And Vancouver's no Edmonton either. That played a part into my thinking as well. They could get that win, and they sure did. Nice win for Dallas to end the night. Alex, your thoughts on Sunday?
Beat bad teams. That's what you're supposed to do if you're a good team this time of year, trying to get ready for a playoff run. You look at teams like New Jersey, for example, which now they beat Philly, a bad team, 3-1, but that's exactly what I wanted for a different reason, because I'm fading New Jersey. I think they do end up kind of falling out of the race. And now that price that I mentioned the other day, that was plus 450, plus 460 for the miss playoffs, I'm now seeing 8-1 at FanDuel on the Devils to miss playoffs. So I will be making that bet at the end of the show for sure. Also looking, like I said, that Dallas game against Vancouver. Vancouver's the team that seems to be falling out of favor. Like you said, it was a tough kind of travel time transition for Dallas. That could have been a spot where they easily, especially off of a tough game against Edmonton, could have laid an egg and lost it. But to come back, win that game, and like I said, the marks of 7-2 in the second leg of back-to-backs, 10-2 now for Casey Smith in his last 12 starts. That's the mark of a really good hockey team. Your backup can give you the wins you need. Give your starter some rest. When you can win in those tough spots on those second nights of back-to-backs, those are good positive signs moving forward for Dallas. Pittsburgh and Minnesota, like you said, that game was pretty much a snooze fest. Everybody was loving the fact that this would be low scoring, with it being Fleury's last time against Pittsburgh. But unfortunately, he couldn't make the quality saves when needed against his old teammates, Malkin and Crosby. I mean, those guys always find the back of the net just about anybody. And it was kind of almost fitting in a way that they were the two guys to get the 3 goals against Fleury in that. But that's another bad home loss and another kind of slow, like I said, lifeless home effort for the Minnesota Wild. That's something you don't want to see if you're a Wild fan or have Wild tickets in pocket with them looking to be in the playoffs. This looks like it could be another one of those that I said on Twitter yesterday, that old choking sensation once again in St. Paul, and we may be talking about another first round exit or worse, not even getting into the playoffs right now with the former Minnesota.
I'm going to hold off on that sentiment just because they're without Kaprizov and Eriksson Ek, and they do have some key pieces missing, and finally it's catching up to them. Like, it's remarkable how many games they won without those guys at various parts of the season, but they had those guys last year in the playoffs, and what did it do for them? Not a whole lot. So, and they're just going to face just incredibly difficult competition in the first round, regardless of who they face. So that's why they're up against it. They are up against it, considering what they're probably going to have to deal with in the opening round. All right, let's get into the 4 games. That's what we're going to deal with right now on this Monday slate. Edmonton and Buffalo. Oilers minus 190. Road favorites 6.5. The total in this game. Definite signs of the Oilers starting to turn it around slowly but surely. I mean, they haven't been great in the last 2 games that they've won. The Montreal game, they needed overtime, but they won. They had a 5-1 lead against Dallas, and they thought maybe the Oilers are just going to cruise to victory. No, of course not. Not the way Edmonton has had struggles keeping the puck out of the net since the Four Nations break. Dallas gets it to 5-4, nearly completes a big-time comeback, but the Oilers hang on and get the 5-4 win in that game. We'll see how they fare here against Buffalo. I don't really trust the Oilers as a road favorite of this magnitude, but how do you have confidence right now in Buffalo? 6 straight losses, shut out by the Florida Panthers on Saturday night, 4-0. Yeah, welcome to Buffalo, Josh Norris. Say hello to your new team. Shut out in the first game with Josh Norris in the fold. It's going to be a tough adjustment for him. I mean, you're going from an Ottawa team that's, right there as far as making the playoffs, And now, of course, you've got going to Buffalo, where things have crumbled for them of late. It's a dicey spot for Edmonton, though. They're off the home wins against Montreal and Dallas. Now they start this road trip. They go to the three tri-state area teams after this. They play New Jersey on Thursday, Islanders on Friday on a back-to-back, and then they actually play a Sunday game at Madison Square Garden against the New York Rangers. So those games come back for them. Buffalo is obviously having major defensive issues. We know that. During this 6-game losing streak, they have allowed 5, 4, 4, 6, 6, and 4. They have just consistently not been able to keep the puck out of the net. Mikey made a phenomenal point. When I did get to see the message because of the Twitter outages, when I finally did get to see the message saying they're running UPL into the ground, it's true. It looks like he's going to start again tonight, and he looks like he is, wearing down just a little bit. That's a concern for me right now as far as Buffalo's concerned. They're just he's just playing too many games, and I think the workload is starting to catch up, and it's negatively impacting his performance level right now. I'm taking Edmonton team total over 3.5 minus 124. They've given up 4 goals or more in every game during this 4-game losing streak, so I'm going to ride that, and I'm definitely on the over by Fecta here. This Edmonton first period over machine just ain't stopping. The Montreal game went over first period. The Dallas game flew over the total in the first period, and of course, the full game went over as well. I don't have access to Mr. Otto and his tremendous charts at the moment because of the Twitter issues, but I know we're talking something like 16-3, 16-4, 17-3 right now, something like that as far as the Edmonton first period overrun. It has been very, very strong. So it's over by Fecta for me in this game, over 1.5 first period, over 6.5 full game. And it's also going to be a Oilers team total over 3.5. They've given up 4 in 6 straight games. Why reinvent the wheel? Alex, what do you think here? Edmonton, Buffalo.
So yeah, I have thankfully saved it on my phone last night with Chris Allen's chart. 17-3 is the run with Edmonton to the first period over. That's something I will be looking to bet in game. Same thing I will pregame with Edmonton team total, except that 3.5, 135 is actually a reasonable enough price. But here's something I was kind of looking at, and I don't really delve into these too often. You'll see a lot of books. I'm looking at FanDuel, for example. They have a menu called Puck Drop Specials, and it has this kind of a lot of overview. It's like a lot of like grand salami type bets. But you can get Edmonton highest scoring team of all the teams playing today plus 410. I'll take a shot with that. Like I said, based on how bad Buffalo's been playing defensively, I'll take a small shot at 4-1 that Edmonton can score the most goals out of anybody today. So I'll add that along with first period over in game, full game. I'll look for that in game as well. Try and get a 6, maybe laying $1.20, $1.25.
I agree with the Jake Wallman look, Rich, especially the assist prop. He is going to get a lot of time now with Ekholm still out. You have to remember that. Matthias Ekholm is still not in the lineup for Edmonton. It doesn't look like he's playing tonight either, and he's paired with Evan Bouchard. And Evan Bouchard, obviously, his props aren't cheap, but Jake Wallman is his partner. That's a top pair right now, top pairing for the Oilers on the blue line. Their new addition, Jake Wallman, along with Evan Bouchard. So, like I said, I think that's Wallman props make sense. Do we dare buy in on Victor Arvidsson? This motherfucker finally scored the other night against Dallas. Finally did something. We know he's got that ability. He hasn't shown it consistently with Edmonton. Can he get things rolling a little bit? I like Jeff Skinner, too. Jeff Skinner, back in the lineup tonight. I think he was a scratch the last game, or maybe even the last 2 games, if I'm not mistaken, for the Edmonton Oilers. Obviously, Knobloch not thrilled with the way he had been playing. Yeah, he's missed 3 games in a row, and I'm pretty sure, some of that was just healthy scratch stuff. But yet, they've won 2 in a row, and even though they've won 2 in a row, Edmonton, he's back in the lineup tonight. You know why that is, because he's playing his old team, the Buffalo Sabres. And I think the last time they played Buffalo, Skinner scored earlier this year in Edmonton. I remember that game, in fact. Yes, he did score in that game for the Edmonton Oilers against the Buffalo Sabres. So Jeff Skinner, plus 400 at FanDuel. I think definitely worth a look with him going to be in the lineup here, playing with Janmark and Connor Brown on the third line for the Edmonton Oilers. For Buffalo, we got Paterka, Josh Norris, Tage Thompson on the top line still. I'm going to go with Ryan McLeod for them, kind of the same line of thinking. He's playing against his old team as well, playing the Edmonton Oilers now as a member of the Sabres. So similar thinking with Jeff Skinner as far as goal prop there. So it's a nice little prop game. We expect there to be goals in this Oilers-Sabres matchup. So it's not a bad game to look at for potential prop opportunities. All right, Detroit and Ottawa. This is like a playoff game in March right here. Red Wings and Senators, and it's a great game to be on Monday and only on Prime. It's Amazon Prime, of course, on Monday Night Hockey. We've got the Ottawa Senators minus 160, home favorites, 6 the total in this game. That was a gut check win for Ottawa. Now, the New York Rangers fucked that up royally on Saturday afternoon. So let's not give Ottawa too much credit, and what rots your socks about it is that Alex in particular, who was really bullish on the Rangers in that spot, he nailed the handicap early in that game. They looked sluggish. They looked like a team that was still moping around after the trade that sent Josh Norris to Buffalo. They looked it. But then the Rangers, because they are so fucking inept defensively right now, when they were up 3-1, said, you know what? You guys are not interested in playing your best today. You're in an emotional hangover type of mood. But we fucking embarrass ourselves defensively. We have no idea how to play the puck properly or how to do anything positively with the puck in our own zone at 5-on-5 defensively. Because of that, you haven't shown us anything in terms of any life in this hockey game this afternoon, but we're the New York Rangers. We're fuck-ups at the defensive end right now. We don't want this game, Ottawa. Here you go. Take it. And that's exactly what happened. They took it because they were inept. They couldn't clear pucks out of the zone. That's what led to the 3-2 goal. Everybody standing around letting them hack and whack at it for the tying goal that made it 3-3, standing around like a bunch of lampposts right around Igor Shesterkin, a complete disgrace as far as defensive coverage is concerned. And then, of course, once it got to overtime, then by that point, Ottawa's feeling it. They're dialed in again. The emotion level is back. The energy level is back. And we knew we were fucked and in trouble with the Rangers. And sure enough, Ottawa wins it in overtime. It didn't take long. It was a bad goal, though, by Shesterkin. I know Tkachuk can shoot, but he's got to have that. In my opinion, a goalie of his caliber, and a brutal loss for the Rangers. Great win, though, for Ottawa, because they didn't have much going for them in that game, but the Rangers gifted them that game and let them back in it, let them take it from them. And that's big. Now they've got momentum, and there's no momentum right now on the Detroit Red Wings side. That was a brutal, brutal ending against Washington Friday night. You know, they have a nice lead, and they just completely melt down in that game. They give up the shorty to Protas right away in the third period. And now Cam Talbot's in net. They are not going to debut Peter Mrazek just yet for the Detroit Red Wings. There was thought maybe tonight would be the night, but not the case. Cam Talbot will get the start. Linus Ullmark as expected for the Ottawa Senators. So this is a huge game for Detroit. You suffer another regulation loss here in this one, and you're really putting yourself in behind the 8 ball, and you're losing ground at the wrong time of the season to a team that you've got to catch in the stand. This is a huge game for Detroit. It's a huge game for Ottawa too, but it's an even bigger game for Detroit because they're the team in the trail position. They are right now 3 points behind Ottawa, and Ottawa's got a game in hand on Detroit. This is a massive game for them. They've got to show some stones and try to, circle the wagons, if you will. I was initially thinking Mrazek was going to play, and when I saw this line, I said, Detroit's probably got some value here at plus 140, but Talbot's not making the big save in the close game right now, and we saw it on Friday night. You had the lead, and some of those were betting. There's another team making defensive gaffes right now, Detroit. How's Justin Hall working out for you? What's happened to Mo Sider defensively? This is a big guy. He's not physical enough. He's been beaten. He's had mistakes in his own end, and the rest of them, it's a dog's breakfast as far as defensive coverage is concerned, and that's part of the blame too for what's happening to Detroit with these goals against. But a lot of it is the goalie's not making that critical save. Once in a while, as a goaltender, when it's a close game, it's not about the number of saves. It's about the timely save and when you make them. And Cam Talbot right now, and even to a lesser extent, Alex Lyon, is not making the critical save in a close game to stem the tide and give Detroit a little momentum. That's just not happening right now. So it's very difficult to bet Detroit. With what I'm seeing right now. I was leaning to maybe their team total at 2.5, which is cheap. It's minus 120 in this game. I think Detroit will bring one hell of an effort. They have to. They damn well should. You're 3 points back. You lose in regulation. You're suddenly 5 points back of this Ottawa team that has the second and final wild card spot in the Eastern Conference. You damn well should bring an effort. I just don't know if they're good enough right now in their own end, and I don't know if they're good enough in goal right now. And I was hoping Mrazek. I'm not getting Mrazek because I think that would have been a rallying point for them. Instead, it's Talbot who's scuffling with his game right now, and that's probably talked me off taking Detroit at this point because I was leaning that way initially with the spot, but I don't think I can do it now. Alex, what do you think here? Detroit, Ottawa.
Big time game on the road, battling the team that you're in direct competition with for a wild card spot. You make a trade for an upgraded goalie, and you decide to go with the same old bum and Cameron Talbot. Give me Ottawa team total over 3.5 plus 110. Give me over 6 minus $1.10. I don't understand it. There's going to be goals back and forth here. Ottawa could screw this up too, and Detroit wins 5-4. So I don't want to take a shot with them.
Let's be honest. The Rangers lost that game. Ottawa didn't win it Saturday. Let's be
exactly right. So I can't lay the price. Can't back them in regulation. Maybe a small sprinkle in the draw because it's a draw season candidate, but I don't really like it that much. Just give me goals over 6 and over 3.5 with Ottawa.
Yeah, I like that. Dylan Cousins goal assist. I like both. Yep. I thought he had a very solid game. That guy looked like a guy that was happy as fuck to be out of Buffalo. Dylan Cousins on Saturday against the New York Rangers. No doubt. And I'm not surprised by that. How could anyone not be thrilled to get out of Buffalo with the season they've had and with the purgatory the franchise has been, for the last decade plus. So I totally understand, kind of the, hitting well, that's always been his game too, is the physicality, hitting everything in sight. That's always what made me a big fan of his play when he was with the Buffalo Sabres. He brought that physical element to his game, which was great to see, no doubt about that. That's probably true, Kurt, but there's reason to be. I mean, I hated Detroit for what they did to me on Friday night in that Washington game. I did have the over by Fecta, which was nice. But I had Detroit team total over 2.5, and they didn't get dick all after the first period. 2 periods early in that game and 2 goals early in that game and nothing else after that. You can just feel Alex's hatred for Detroit.
This isn't about my personal hatred. No. This is just the overview of what's going on. It's just dumb. If any team in the league was doing something like this, I would call them out. Yeah. If my Hawks were doing something dumb like this in a playoff race, I would call them out. So it had nothing to do with my. Yes, I hate Detroit, but this is separate. This is business, and it's dumb. So we're going with Ottawa.
I'm trying to find out an explanation here, and there's I'm reading an article about it. The Detroit Red Wings will look to snap their 5-game winning streak. Coach Todd McClellan rejected the notion of a must-win game in his comments because he said there's no such thing as a don't win in an 82-game season. How could a must-win exist? Okay, that's fair. That's true. There's other games. It's a very important game.
Okay.
It's not a must-win, but don't. Very important game. Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like he's talking in circles.
Yeah, it's almost like he's an excuse machine if they lose tonight when you say something.
And if he's saying that to us in the media, then that's fine. But he better not be saying that shit in the locker room. It better be a whole different conversation in the locker room. This is a must-win game. For the 23 guys involved wearing the wing wheel, it's a must-win game. For all of us, we can calm down. But that's really the long and short of it.
I know it's a big game for the fucking fan base that hasn't had playoffs with this, iconic franchise in how many years now? Yeah,
in years. Haven't even had a playoff game in this new building. No.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's just an odd comment. He says he wants a smart, aggressive team, players to rely on each other, not overcook the performance by trying to do too much. The big decision for the coach going into the game concerned his goaltender. When McClellan turned to the new option in Peter Mrazek, whose numbers in Chicago are unflattering, to put it kindly. Yes, but come on. The Chicago defense, I mean, that definitely played a part in it. He had some good games. He declined to answer that question. But on Monday morning, McClellan named Cam Talbot as his starter. Mrazek will serve as the backup, leaving Alex Lyon the odd man out and healthy scratch. Going forward, we'll have a plan to lay out the rest of the games. We'd like Peter to get a little more time in the net. He's been sharing it in Chicago, and after practice, there's a discussion made that will go with Talbs today and move forward from there. So not anything about Mrazek needs more time to get comfortable. Nothing about, he's battling some kind of minor little tweak or injury, or that he needs a little more rest before he makes his debut. He was practicing yesterday. We want him to get more time in the net, but the discussion was made that we'll go with a struggling Cam Talbot today and then move forward from there. He's practicing yesterday. It doesn't seem like he's hurt. It doesn't seem like he needs rest. Why is he not in there tonight? Why? I'm going to need someone to explain this thought process right here. Why is he not in the net? I'm not saying Peter Mrazek is going to be Dom Hasek with Scotty Bowman in the early 2000s as far as performance is concerned.
Right.
Nice little Czech reference too there. But we're talking about Cam Talbot not making big saves and big moments now, multiple games in a row during this skid. And you can throw Lyon into that discussion as well. And we're not just going to just put him in there and say, hey, something for the players to latch on to from an emotional bent, a spark maybe. You need a spark. Mrazek maybe gives them that. Who knows? I know his numbers weren't great in Chicago, but we know the D in Chicago's had issues all year. You got to believe going back to a team he was with and in a playoff race is going to invigorate Peter Mrazek. This makes zero, let me repeat, 0 sense that he is not starting tonight. None. Especially because he practiced yesterday. How can he be hurt if he practiced yesterday? How can he be tired if he practiced yesterday? Because those are the reasons that I could validate him not starting tonight. But he isn't starting, even though he practiced yesterday. Make this make sense. I can't make sense of it.
It doesn't. So
it
doesn't.
Just
take what the bookmakers give us as a result. Over 6, Ottawa team total.
Your season's on the line, man. And I like Todd, but Todd's fucking up here. It's got to be said, I think. I think he is. And if they lose tonight, it'll really hit home that he's fucked up here in this.
We might still see Mrazek.
Yeah.
Who's to say we won't see him tonight if Talbot falters?
Yeah. So maybe he will. He'll get yanked. He'll get an early pull. Then no choice but to face him. Maybe Talbot will be great tonight. Maybe this is like a back against the wall spot for him, and he turns in that which he's capable of at times, the 1 goal on 38 shots type game. And he's done that before. He's capable of doing that. Just don't see it all the time, though. And we haven't seen it lately. And that's why we've got our issues with Cam Talbot starting tonight. Wow. What a big game that is, though. I'm excited to tune into that. That's a great game. Huge game. All right, next up, despite what Todd McClellan says, it's not a must-win game, but he made it almost sound like in his comments that it's not a big game. It's just another game. Oh, damn well it is a big game. You're 3 points behind, and they've got a game in hand on this Detroit team, Ottawa. So you better believe it's a big game, even though if you're not willing to admit it. All right, Chicago and Colorado. Next up, we've got Colorado minus 150, home favorites, 6.5 the total here, shaded to the under. Colorado, nice comeback win for them against Toronto on Saturday night. What a great hockey game that was. I can't believe the difference in the games the American national audience got this weekend and the games that the Canadian one got on Saturday. My goodness. I mean, what did you get on ABC? You got Kraken Flyers, which was terrible. Bruins Lightning, which was even worse, believe it or not. Bruins and Lightning. But Tampa just mailed it in. And then you got Devils Flyers and Penguins Wild on TNT yesterday, which were snorefest. Terrible hockey games. But Hockey Night in Canada got the gift of Toronto, Colorado, and Dallas, Edmonton. So talk about a difference in the national schedule. But Colorado and Toronto was a great game, back and forth, back and forth. The pace in that game was just crazy. It really was. It was off the charts. It was a really well-played game by both teams. Not great defensively from both teams, but it was a product of how those two teams were making great plays with the puck. Mitch Marner had a great game for Toronto. What a night for Big Val Nichushkin, who had a hat trick for Colorado in that win. He was phenomenal. McKinnon had a big night. Obviously, Brock Nelson and Charlie Coyle, the new additions for the Colorado Avalanche, chipped in on the score sheet in the win against Toronto. They were down in the third period. They were down 4-2, Colorado, and ended up coming all the way back and winning that game. But big win that is. You get your debut players in the line, or your new players in the lineup for the first time. Now you come back from that big comeback win, big time game against a contender from the other conference, Toronto, and now you play Chicago at home. Is this the perfect sleepwalk spot, at least early, for the Colorado Avalanche? Because we did kind of see that from them against Pittsburgh last week. Took them a while to get engaged in that game, and it took them a while to really get going. We can tell you that Scott Wedgwood is likely going to be in net here tonight for the Colorado Avalanche. And Spencer Knight, how about this? He is in net for the Chicago Blackhawks. So there you go. Well, actually, I shouldn't. I forgot that they played Nashville Saturday on the back-to-back, and that was Soderblom. So the rotation is still going for Sorensen here. So it is definitely Spencer Knight's turn. So he'll get the start here tonight. 2-0 for those of you that are really frisky. 2-0 as a starter for the Chicago Blackhawks, in case that plus 410 on the money line that you see on the screen appeals to you. I'll be honest, it's not the craziest bet to make. It is because Chicago, he's played great. This is going to really test him, though. The biggest fear is if you're going to be a 30, 40 shots on goal allowance team again tonight, Chicago, this is the team that might make you pay more for it here in this game, Colorado. So that's the biggest concern. Knight could stand on his head, and Colorado could still score 4 or 5 goals. If the Blackhawks are going to yield the shots and the volume that they've been yielding in the first 2 starts for Spencer Knight as a member of the team. So it's one of these deals where I could see Colorado still scoring a lot, but I don't know if it's early. I could see them a little bit not at their best early, maybe needing time to get themselves up for playing, a lower team in the Western Conference. So we're going to go with the system. The system's been great, especially this particular system. Underdog facing a favorite of minus 400 or more. It has been unreal how often the big dog has scored a goal in the first period. It's been a tremendous angle. It's been consistently getting it done for us for the most part. The minus 300 or more favorites have been very good too in this angle, but it's been even better with the minus 400 or more favorites. It's been absolutely spectacular what we have seen with this angle. Continues to the record, I believe, is something like 19-5 this year for the underdog scoring a goal in the first period against a minus 400 or greater favorite. So that's what I like here. Chicago to score a goal in the first period. They've been good to us in this regard. The Chicago Blackhawks in these spots. Many occasions off the top of my head I can think of that against Carolinas of the world, and some of the other Tampa Bay, Florida even. I remember that Chicago-Florida game we did it. It was a Saturday afternoon. Remember? It was Langdon Slaggert in the first 10 seconds of that game.
7 seconds, actually.
Yeah, and they didn't
score 7 seconds in that goal.
Yep, I remember that. So we have hit this multiple times. Chicago in this spot against a minus 400 or greater favorite to get on the board in the opening period. And what I love about this bet is you could suck in the rest of the game after the first period. You could even give up a goal or two in the first period, as long as Chicago does what we ask of them, and that is just find the back of the net and get on the board in the opening period. That's all we're asking for, and we're talking anywhere from it's plus 105. Good find there, Addison. Some books have plus money here with Chicago to score a goal in the first period, but it's anywhere from plus 105 to minus 110. Even money. Anywhere in that range, depending on the sports book, is what you'll find here with Chicago to score a goal in the first period. So I like that. Both teams to score in the first period. I can sign off on that as well. I could see that happening. I don't know. Over trifecta, I could see. The thing is with Colorado in these spots against the lesser teams, a big win coming off. You're coming off against Toronto. They haven't always been the dead nuts over team in this spot because they've been a little sluggish. That's the only thing that I'm concerned about with the over. That's why I might bet it smaller, but I'm more focusing in on first period. First period over certainly makes sense. Chicago first period overs are starting to heat up again. That I definitely like. More so the first period looks. Little both teams to score first period. First period over, I can't argue with that, even though the price is a pretty expensive pregame, minus 155. This could be like the Edmonton Buffalo game. Wait a couple minutes and get a better price with the first period over if it's scoreless after the first couple minutes. But my favorite is Chicago to score in the first period. It's not even crazy to think Blackhawks, puck line plus 2.5, which you can actually get, at a pretty reasonable price.
Yeah.
It's always a concern, plus 2.5, that, you're going to need them to keep Colorado at bay. You're going to need Knight to be great. But you're talking about taking plus 2.5 goals, albeit against a great team in a tough environment, with a goaltender that's been just absolutely stupendous here in 2 games with his new team. So I don't hate that plus 2.5 with Chicago if you want to play it safe. If you want to be gutsy and take plus 410, I don't even think that's crazy in this spot. The guy is 2-0 as a starting goalie with the Blackhawks. That being said, this time on the road compared to at home against LA and Utah in the first 2 games, and now you got to face this juggernaut offense now in Colorado, and that's the only concern. But I do not begrudge anybody interested in plus 410, a price like this in this spot with Chicago. Alex, what do you think here? Blackhawks, Avs.
I mean, if you like Hawks money line, there's really another reason to take 410 pregame.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, unless the Hawks get out to a 2-0 lead, you're not going to see this number budge much. Hawks can score first, Avs come back to tie it, and now you're probably getting plus 500 live. So if you like the money line, I'd say wait and play it in game. And there's I think there would be time to do that. Now I love, of course, we're looking at Hawks to score a goal in the first, plus 105. That's a fantastic price. I will be adding that in pocket. I have both teams to score plus 156. That's my largest look. I also am going to add correct score in the first period, 2-1 Colorado at 10-1. And I'm going over 2 plus 130. That's available at BetMGM for the first period. So we're just going to just bypass trying to catch that, 1.5 dropping down. We're just going to go with the over 2 at plus 130 because I also will have goal in first 5 minutes plus 152. So I'm heavy on the first period in this one, but it's not all predicated directly towards Chicago. Goal in first 5 minutes, that's anybody.
Yeah.
Second period, first period over 2, that could be 2 or 3 Colorado goals. So if this game does end up looking like what the bookmakers are telling you with a 550 money line, that Colorado runs this thing 8-1, we're still going to cash most of these bets. So that's the way I'm playing it. I'm not going to look at anything puck line or money line with the Hawks until end game. If I'm seeing the pace, if it's back and forth, or maybe Colorado's kind of sleepwalking and they aren't getting the offense rolling, then that's when I can look and jump on some stuff involving Hawks. But just looking for goals early in the first period. 2-1 correct score. Goal. Both teams to score. Hawks to score in the first period. Goal in the first 5 minutes.
This is definitely now, Chicago, Colorado in most circumstances, certainly prior to last week, would not be, get your popcorn out material for me. But I am very fascinated to see Spencer Knight get this test against this,
Me too.
This phenomenal hockey team, unbelievably potent offensively with a patchwork defense in front of him, obviously, that's given up 30, 40 shots a game. How can he hang in there and deal with that tonight, Spencer Knight? Because I could be as great as we think he is, and he's been great in the 2 starts. He could still give up 5 or 6 if Chicago's going to give them the grade A's all night long as far as scoring chances. There's nothing Spencer Knight's going to be able to do about them, even if he plays great. But he's also capable of even those highlight reel saves and just making the save you don't expect on a grade A chance, and maybe having a night where he gives up 1 or 2 on 40 shots because he's playing at that level here in these 2 games. It's a great watch.
Yeah, I would love for it to be the latter, but there's a pretty good chance it's more of the former.
Yeah. Because Chicago, some of those games, LA had great chances too, and they weren't finishing. Colorado's the kind of team that can probably better finish those, and now they bring in Nelson and Coyle. I like Nelson and Coyle goal prop and assist prop, both of them, to score a goal and to get an assist. I think there's a chance both of those players either score a goal or both of them either get an assist as well. The new players, I thought they both played well in their debut for the Avs against Toronto on Saturday night. So I don't mind those looks. There's a lot I like for Chicago. Now, I'm worried that they don't score a ton here because it is Colorado, tough team on the road. But you got to look at Ilya Mikheyev, Soupy. He's been rolling. There's no doubt. He's been terrific for them offensively of late. We'll see if he can keep it rolling. You're getting a great price playing with Donato, Teravainen, and Mikheyev. You can go all 3 of those guys, sprinkle on all 3 of them because that line's been terrific for them. Don't look now, Colton Dock with Bedard and Nazar, that top line.
Yep.
They've been starting to heat up. It was great to see Bedard get the overtime winner against Utah. He needed a little pick-me-up in that regard, and that's great to see. So, they have a nice little top 6 right now, Chicago, and they've been scoring lately. We know that. That's the offense is picked up for the Blackhawks. The question is, will that offensive uptick continue in Denver tonight?
And the biggest thing, too, is, like we said, the confidence that's being built. Now, these are young kids. They're not going to be scared of the fact that they're playing in Ball Arena in Denver. They know that this is a top-tier team that's loading up and gearing up for a deep playoff run. But they won't hang their head low about it. If this was a team with a bunch of the old veterans just kind of mulling around, skating around, that's when we'd be looking at, for sure, 8-1, 9-1 Colorado final. But these kids have no quit in them, and that's what's going to make this an interesting game tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. Looking forward to it for sure. All right, Toronto, Utah. Final game of this Monday night slate. We've got Toronto minus 115 to minus 120. Road favorites, 6 the total. This is the end of the road trip for Toronto. A tough road trip. Vegas, Colorado, not easy. And they've dropped the first 2 games of this road trip, trying to salvage one. And this is always the spot where when it's a good team, they've had a tough road trip, it's the final game of the trip, you're not sloughing off the final game of the road trip when you're over. on the road trip. You're going to bring it. You're going to bring a good effort here. And I would not be surprised that Toronto brings a really good effort here tonight against Utah. Now, will it be enough to win? And is it enough for me to bet them? Probably not. Probably not, because I do like what I'm seeing from Utah. Utah's playing very hard. Utah's playing for their playoff lives right now. They're still very much in it. And I would expect them, and we've talked about this with Utah now several times, with Dylan Guenther and Logan Cooley healthy. Not to mention they've got Sean Dursey back, so their blue line's pretty much healthy now too. It's a different hockey team, and they're playing like it. Great confidence. The offense is coming back to life again, no question. We'll see if it can continue tonight. Karel Vejmelka in net for Utah in this game. Joseph Woll back in net for Toronto. Not a surprise because they've been going with the rotation of late. Craig Berube, Stolars, and Woll from one game to the next. So it's Woll's turn. And this is suddenly a very important night for Joseph Woll, who had a rough game against Pittsburgh, even though they won that crazy game in overtime last Sunday. And then he had an even rougher performance against Vegas. The 4 goals he allowed in the first period. He got yanked. Stolars came in early in that game against Vegas. So that's 2 subpar performances in a row from Joseph Woll. And in this game tonight, he is starting following the very first time in his NHL career that he's been pulled from a game. That was the first time Joseph Woll has ever been pulled from an NHL game last Wednesday night against the Vegas Golden Knights. Obviously, we got a fuck ton of Leafs coverage here where I am. This kid has got a very strong, resilient mindset. He's saying all the right. I just went back to work. He said, I got away from the ice just a little bit for the first 2 days after that Vegas game, really cleared my mind. And he's someone also he's actually a very big mental health advocate, Joseph Woll, and he's had struggles in the past with it. But he said he got away from hockey, turned the social media off for a few days, and said, I feel like I'm in a good frame of mind now. He had a good practice yesterday, according to Berube, for this game. He's a talented goalie. I don't think we assume that he's just going to continue to struggle tonight in this game. And then you got Berube saying, Alex, that their focus is defense, defense, defense. We haven't been good enough defensively of late. And that actually has me lean into the under, believe it or not, in this game, because Vejmelka's playing pretty solid for the most part for Utah lately. I would expect a bounce back here from Woll in this game as well. And just when I hear the coach say that, we're not defending hard enough. We're not defending well enough. The penalty kills slipped. Christopher Tanev's absence has had a big part of that, obviously. He's still not back tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs. You now have a game under the belt for both the new Leafs, Scott Laughton and Brandon Carlo. That should help them tonight as well. This is a really tough game because Utah's got some serious momentum. It's a bigger 2 points on the line for them because of, they're fighting for their playoff lives. Toronto, it's a big 2 points for them because they're battling Florida for the division, and winning the division's key. You don't want Tampa or Florida in the first round, if you can avoid it. Both teams should bring it. I feel like if I had to lean some way, it would be Toronto minus 120, and you're getting, I think, a nice little price here with them following the last 2 losses. But I'm going to stay off because I respect what Utah's doing right now and how big these games are for them at this point in time. I lean to the draw here, and I probably will sprinkle on the draw here with Toronto and Utah. I could definitely see potential for overtime. Again, opposing conferences, different races. So the other team getting a point is not going to matter to the other. So I think the draw's in play. But be careful with this. I see some love for the over. I'm not saying it can't go over, and Toronto's been trending that way. Utah's better offensively, but all the talk from Toronto is that we got to get it fixed defensively after these last 2 games against Vegas and Colorado. So that took me right off the over in this game. What do you think here, Alex? Final game, Toronto, Utah.
Yeah, it's a great draw season spot for sure. Plus 315, plus 320 shop around. That definitely liking the draw on this one. Like I said, especially when you hear an emphasis of more defense. That's always usually a sign, like I said, to look unders, but look more toward that draw as well. And I'm also going to take a shot with Austin Matthews, anytime goal scorer, plus 115. Now, of course, no more trips back home to Arizona, but I'm sure he'll probably have some family making the short trip from Arizona to Utah in the crowd. So he always did well playing against the former Yotes. So maybe if they carries over. We're not going to get anything crazy like 2 or 3 goals. It's funny, I was looking back at the video where I had him as a bargain bin with 2 goals the last time visiting Arizona. But we just go with 1 plus 115 along with the draw at plus 315.
Yeah, I love Matthew Nyes to score. He's not bargain bin price worthy, but it's a great bet. He's been obviously very good lately. Obviously he's an Arizona kid, but he's playing the team that used to be the Arizona Coyotes. Funny.
Yeah, same deal.
Yeah, Toronto media couldn't resist asking Austin Matthews and Matthew Nyes, the two Arizona kids, what's it feel like that this team used to be in Arizona? Now you've got to play them in Utah. I mean, do we have to ask them that? Can we not stick to the hockey
that's
questions?
shitty. Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. That's Toronto media for you. It's just some of these questions, man, it just makes you shake your head. I actually pity these players that they have to answer some of this crap every single day. But that's not necessary. What do you want them to say? Obviously, these two kids, they said probably would love to see them still in Arizona.
They lost their childhood team. Like, how do you feel about it? Really?
Oh, I love it. Yeah. I love it. The Coyotes aren't there in my home state anymore.
Crazy.
Love it. The team I fell in love with, the team that got me into hockey, and the team that, probably got me into the career I'm in right now. Just love it that they're not there anymore. But they said the right things. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but they said it's also cool to experience a new place, new venue, new building here in Utah. I hear the fans have been great and all this. So they answered it professionally. Credit to Nyes and Matthews. They both said the same things like that. Still cool to see a new spot, Utah. So there you go. It's crazy to have to ask them something like that. Who gives a flying fuck about that? Seriously. But anyway, that's what you get sometimes with the Toronto media. Yeah, as far as props, like I said, Matthews, Nyes, worth a look maybe. I would say too for Toronto too. I got it's a feeling more than anything, a feeling. Maybe Scott Lawton tonight, because he wasn't happy with his game. And he said, it's crazy. He blamed himself so much. You just got there, your head's spinning. You didn't have your best game against Colorado. Maybe he finds a goal tonight for the Leafs in his second game after coming over in the trade with Philadelphia. For Utah, don't overthink it. Whether it's Schmaltz and Keller and Cooley and Gunther, and those are the guys that are rolling right now for Utah. Those are the props you probably focus on. Great stuff from everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. And a great Monday show, 224 live viewers. Not as many today live because we're not able to stream live to Twitter, X for obvious reasons, but still great to see everyone tuning into the show. And great to see everyone that subscribed to our Patreon page at patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, our daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. Bonus content, more exclusive live betcasts for Patreon members only, including our next Ice Guys live betcast, which is Patreon exclusive, Tuesday, March 25th on Patreon, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you join us for that. You must be a Patreon member to join us on that betcast for Tuesday, March 25th. So make sure you sign up. Just $10 per month. Your subscription goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping us going long term. So sign up, patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 per month.
As the calendar turns to March, unfortunately, it becomes allergy season. However, one good thing is that it's getting warm outside, which means it's a good time to maybe buy a new T-shirt or a cap from the Ice Guys store. So we're at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We've got 2 days left to save 15% off. You go to the homepage, click on the redeem button, add all your items to your cart, and then 15% will be available at checkout. So you got 2 days left. Do not delay on that. Now's the time to get something new for the spring. That's at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Yeah, I don't argue with the Marner look there for Robert Carlson. He is shooting the puck more, and obviously had a great game against Colorado. And he's in a contract year. You can tell he's playing like it. There's no question. All right, we'll be right back with Bargain Bin Special of the night and Best Bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guy sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Tailgaters Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page.
Shout out to all our great sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc. on this Solid Fire Monday. Make sure you check out the website and get 20% off all orders using the promo code ICEGUYS at bostonhempinc.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night. 4 games on this Monday night to choose from. Alex, where are you headed in the bargain bin?
Yeah, let's go to Canada's capital, Ottawa, taking on Detroit. Big game for both clubs. Let's go with a guy who would be playing against an old teammate of his, and he's in the bargain bin range at plus 350. David Perron, anytime goal scorer. Played for several teams, so this would be one of his spots against an old team. We've seen him score in spots against his old club. So at plus 350, I think that's a worthy shot. Like I said, we don't understand why Cameron Talbot's getting the start here for Detroit. So hopefully that's to our advantage. David Perron for the Ottawa Senators, plus 350 anytime goal scorer, my Monday bargain bin special.
All right, David Perron, the old veteran for the Ottawa Senators, plus 350 for Alex B. Smith with his bargain bin special of the night. My bargain bin special of the night, we're going to Buffalo, Oilers and Sabres. This guy scored against his old team in Edmonton earlier this year, and I think he gets them again tonight, especially back in the lineup after being scratched the last couple games. Let's go with Jeff Skinner for the Edmonton Oilers, plus 400 at FanDuel. Like this former player look. Ryan McLeod was a consideration as well for me, but I like the Skinner one even more in this Oilers-Sabres game. So let's go with Jeff Skinner, Edmonton Oilers, plus 400 for my bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets for this Monday. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Let's head out to the Mile High City. We're going to go with the Blackhawks to get 1 goal in the first period. You just need 1. Either over a half, minus $1.10 is available widely at a few places. Plus 105 is the best number available at BetMGM. Chicago Blackhawks to get a goal in the first period is my Monday best bet.
There you go, Chicago. Goal in the first period, anywhere from minus 110 to plus 105 with that for Alex with his best bet. My best bet for this Monday card, let's take that Edmonton team total. Over 3.5, minus 125. 6-game losing streak for the Sabres, and they've given up 4 in each of those games. All we need is 4 from Edmonton. I think we get that. I like the over by Fecta too. Those were under consideration for best bet, but the price is a little expensive on those. I like this one. Edmonton team total over 3.5 for the Edmonton Oilers. Best price out there with that right now, minus 122. Oilers team total over 3.5 for my best bet for this Monday NHL card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. We might, and it's been a while since we've seen our guy, but we might have a Matt Robinson sighting on the Tuesday show tomorrow. And it's been
I'm sure
a while.
He's got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, he's back from New York. That is, if he's not still too tired from New York, coming back from that big trip, which he just arrived back home in Reno from last night. And we might even try to get, because Ryan volunteered, he's off this week to be on during the week. We might have a Tuesday or Thursday show with both Robinsons, if you can handle it at the same time on the show. So a brotherly reunion, if you will. All right, good stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat at the like button. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. Perlo's good, by the way, good. The people mentioning Perlo as a great guest. He just sent me his availability schedule. He's going to join us on Wednesday this week, 2 p.m. Eastern time. So we got Perlo. He's going to join us again as a guest on the Wednesday show. So there you go. Ask and you shall receive. So there you go. That's going to come up on Wednesday. Good stuff. Yeah, we'll get Jonathan on one time too, for sure. He's doing all those radio hits. We'll have to get him on the Daily Show too at some point for sure. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Monday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll be back with you tomorrow on Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern for another edition of the Ice Guys.